So a huge part of chapter 9 is you have to factor everything before you add, subtract, multiply, and divide all of these fractions with variables that are going to be in them, which we're going to see next week. So we're going to review factoring. This is all stuff you've seen before. None of this is new. It's all from chapter 4 first semester, where we went over all the different ways to factor. So just as a reminder, you need to take out the GCF, which means if there's a number or a letter in common with all of them, you have to factor that out first. So on this one, is there a number we can divide out? No. Okay, 2, 7, and 5, we can't find a GCF. So here is the way that I teach factoring. You're going to take A and C, and you're going to multiply them, and that's your top number. The middle number is your bottom number. Okay, the process is not going to change. You need to find two numbers that multiply to be this and add together to be this. What would that be? Yes. 5 and 2. Now, some of you have seen the x before, and those are the two numbers that go in the parentheses. If we didn't have a number right here, that would be the case. Okay, but because we have a number, an a value, other than 1, we're going to do a second step. So the hardest part of these problems is finding these two numbers. The rest of it is super easy. Now, you found these two numbers. They always go in these two squares with whatever variable you have in the problem, whether it's a, b, x, y, whatever. Okay, so they always go in those two corners. Along the diagonal goes the original problem. So we've got 2x squared, 7x here, and 5 right here. Now all you have to do is figure out what's in common with each row and column. So what can you divide out of this last column right here? There's a 5 in common with both terms. What's in common here? 2 and x. What about here? And what about here? There's only a 1 that you could divide out of both of those. Okay, here are your two answers. X plus 1, 2x plus 5. So we're going to try this again. Got 6x squared plus 17x plus 12. Okay, how do we get this top number again? 6 times 12, which is? And then 17 goes down here. So multiply to be 72, add to be 17. Yes, 9 and 8. Okay, remember 9 and 8 go in these two corners right here with whatever letter is in your problem. The original is going to go along the diagonal. And now we just figure out what's in common. So what can we divide out of the bottom row? 4. What about here? 3 and an x here. 2x and just 3. So our answer, 3x plus 4, 2x plus 3. So we're going to be using all of this factoring in our problems next week, but right now we're just factoring. That's it. Questions on these two problems? All right, let's try these two. What's the first step on this one? We can do that, but we should do something before we do that. Yes, let's take a 6 out. All right. So now we're just looking at the problem within the parentheses when we do this. So what's the top number? and 1. What two numbers give us that? -3, +4. Everyone agree? Multiply to be -12, add them together, you get 1. And what is the reason that we have to do this window step? The coefficient in front of your first term, this 2 here, requires us to do this step. So we've got -3w and 4w. Original along the diagonal. What is in common down here? Okay, 2w minus 3, w plus 2. No guess and check required. Oh, thank you. Get your team points for that. Don't forget that 6 out front. It's part of your answer. What would be a good idea on the next problem? Yeah, let's take the y out. There's no other numbers we can divide out, so we just take that y out and we're left with 3x squared plus 5x minus 12. I know 5's on the bottom. What's the top number? Okay, what multiplies to be -36 and adds to be 5? Think about the factors of 36. 9 and -4 would be awesome. Am I going too quickly through this process? Okay, so 9 and -4 get attached with that x value, original along the diagonal. And then we just figure out what's in common. Got a 3 here, x here, 3x, and -4. And the y. Let's refresh our memories on what we do when we have two terms. Anyone remember? This might jog your memory. What if I had x squared minus 9? What would the answer be? So how did you get that? What were you doing to these two things? You're square rooting them. Can we square root both of these? Okay, so if we do that, what's our answer? 8x. And then y squared. 1's plus and 1 is minus. So no x required on that one. If you have two terms, see if you can square root both terms. If this was a plus, what would your answer be? Not factorable or prime. Okay. Over here. Yep. First, we'll take that GCF out. Got -3 and -2. So what's here? We have one left that I'm going to give you a minute head start on once everyone's done with this page, and we'll be done with notes for today. All of it's review, yep. Questions on this? Okay, so I'm going to give you 1 minute head start on this problem. So again, the hardest part about this process is just finding these two numbers. My suggestion on finding it is taking your 120 and just starting with 2 and dividing by each number until you get a pair of numbers that give you that bottom number. It's the fastest way to find it. Does that one work? Okay. So those of you that didn't have that before, I'm going to give you a few seconds to see if you can fill in the window. Did I make any mistakes? Any questions?